Zohra, Mamdani, and Andrew Cuomo actually to ride the trains, because that's probably where they're going to find most of the people. But another day, another poll, another day, another billionaire throws millions into the race. I would suggest Michael Bloomberg, who wasted $8 million in the primary on Andrew Cuomo's disastrous primary campaign, that he could have spent it helping the homeless and the emotionally disturbed in the subways, where they've all gone down underground to avoid the inclement weather. What a waste of money, Bloomberg. And again, the billionaires don't get it. The billionaires, the insiders, and the influencers are not going to determine who the next mayor of the city of New York is. Finally get it through your heads. You may have all the money. You may know Wall Street. You may know hedge funds, but you know nothing about the streets. You know nothing about politics when it comes to this race, because it's a generational shift. And these guys and gals have just not figured it out. And all the money in the world is not going to help their primetime candidate, Andrew Cuomo. And then we look at another poll. This time, Emerson. Wow, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up. If you believe polls, and trust me, I don't, I'm surging. I'm up 11 percentage points. Cuomo is down, and Mamdani is crested over 50%. And I'm sure in the next 5 days, we'll probably have 2 separate polls a day as they try to put their input in from soliciting voters. The best way to solicit voters is what I've been doing. Yesterday, I spent a really good amount of time out in Staten Island, pressing flesh. You notice I took the 1 train down there, then I took the ferry, get a chance to talk to the voters. Then I went to the polling locations where people are showing up for early votes. And let me applaud all New York City residents, even if they're not voting for me. What a magnificent turnout. This is absolutely fabulous. I hope the inclement weather does not keep the voters away, because my whole focus has been democracy must prevail. One person, one vote. You have close to 5 million people who are eligible to vote. We, at cresting at this point, maybe 1.6. Who knows? Maybe 2 million people will have voted. That's a really good sign. And like I said, even if they're not voting for me, this is a triumph for democracy. One person, one vote. And again, billionaires don't quite get it. They're not the shot callers in this election, not the influencers and not the insiders. So on with the victory as I crisscross the city today on the subway and at other events. And then obviously it's 20 hours of a 24-hour day, campaigning till 2 in the morning, and then rise and shine at 6. And that's how a campaign is supposed to be done. I would suggest Andrew Cuomo that he spend less time in enclosed meetings and actually get out there and press the flesh. He seems to have a phobia to be with average everyday people, and I can assure him, you're going to get people who flip you off, you're going to get people who praise you. But then you're going to get a lot of people who want to question you. That's part of the political process. Hopefully, in the last 5 days, he can actually get his rear in gear and go out there and do a traditional campaign. I'm certainly doing it. And we saw that Zohra Mamdani did it in the primary. That's how he beat Andrew Cuomo. So it's to the voters to determine who the next mayor is. Any questions?
First, Andrew Cuomo is spending a lot of money at the end of this race through his own campaign and tax, basically telling New Yorkers that Mamdani is dangerous, taxes, devices, etc. To your point, is all of that spending on negative campaigning, is it working or is it backfiring?
No, it plays into the image of Andrew Cuomo. It's dystopian. It's upsetting. It's really negative. I mean, I guess he figures that's his only pathway to victory, is to put fear, fright, and hysteria into the voters. Well, he tried that in the primary and it didn't work. And I guess he's deciding in a 2-point strategy. Fear, fright, hysteria, and hype. It didn't work against Zohra Mamdani in the primary. When he first entered Andrew Cuomo on March 1st of 2025, he was 40% in the polls. 1% was Zohra Mamdani. And then he started all the negativity. And what did he get? 70% of the Democrats wouldn't even rank choices. So now he spends a good deal of his time trying to come over to Republican and conservatives and get the voters who would generally have aligned with me. What does that say to your base of moderate Democrats? That you're really more of a Republican and a conservative than you are a Democrat? So maybe he gains a few Republican and conservatives, but then he loses moderate Democrats because he keeps referring to Donald Trump wanting him to be the candidate. I deal with Democrats all the time. In our city, Donald Trump, our president, does not do well amongst the public. The country, yes, in other parts of New York State, but not New York City. So he can't split hairs. He's either a Democrat or he's not a Democrat. I understand why he wants Republican, conservative, independent voters. Everybody does. But he seems to be making a direct pitch to them that Trump has chosen him, anointed him as his preferred candidate. What does that say to his moderate Democrats? Who are like, yeah, but I'm not supporting Trump. So he creates a lot of confusion, and I would say it's just a gray cloud that hangs over his campaign. His unfavorables are high no matter what poll you look at, and that's really the key. Can you break down your unfavorables below 50%? And I think the baggage is too heavy in the life of Andrew Cuomo for him to be able to do that.
Yes, Sliwa, what's your reaction to UBA endorsing Mamdani?
Excuse me?
UBA, United Banana Association?
Yeah. My very dear not friend, Fernando Mateo,
I ran against him.
was left on the outside looking in. Here's the guy who doesn't have his finger on the pulse of the people he's supposed to be representing. Remember, I crushed Fernando Mateo in the Republican primary in 2021 because he was a Bill de Blasio Republican. So here it is, the guy who's always the spokesperson for the bodega owners in New York City, of which there are many. I wish I had their endorsement. I deal with bodega owners all the time because of their problems. And the guy who's supposed to be speaking on their behalf is left on the outside looking in. And they're supporting Zohra Mamdani, who would promote, if mayor, more actions that would lead to more shoplifting, more problems for bodega owners. But I think it just shows you, and I've said this many times with 5 days left, politics is the dirtiest business that exists. It's comparable in many ways to organized crime, which I've battled over the years. The only thing you don't have are dead bodies. I'm sure the night before Fernando Mateo was having a great conversation with the president of the association. And then the next day, he finds out that they're having a press conference to endorse the guy that they blasphemed in the primary, Zohra Mamdani. Boy, pivots and shifts occur on a regular basis. Follow the money. Follow the money. That's what politics is all about.
Sir, if I could just ask you a question. Parents of students with disabilities are terrified because they're going to lose bus service starting as early as Monday.
It's Marcia Kramer.
The contracts with the bus companies have not been signed. I wonder if you were mayor and if you were to win this race, how would you handle this and how would you deal with this really pressing problem of dealing with the busing of students with disabilities?
Well, I think it's incumbent upon the mayor to actually sit with the owners and operators and the union that represents the bus drivers and try to figure this out. They're saying they can't derive enough income to be able to provide the service. So I think mayoral intervention at the highest level of government could actually resolve this problem. Hopefully, our Mayor Eric Adams will do that.
Are you saying that more money, let me just follow up, okay? If you're saying, are you saying that the city has to come up with more money to augment the profits of these bus companies so that students with disabilities will be given the services that they need?
Well, the bus companies have the city by the short hairs because the contracts are with outside entrepreneurs, outside businesses. So it's really incumbent. You made contracts with them. I know their locations in Queens and the Bronx. You have to sit down with them and you have to figure out what can you do and what can't you do. But this generally always happens. When people feel aggrieved that they're not making enough money, they threaten to withhold service. I would suggest to the bus owners, these are the children most in need. you know, show some compassion, show some empathy. How are they to get to school if all of a sudden you're not providing the bus drivers? This can be negotiated over time.
But the city is basically saying to the parents, we're going to give you Omni cards and other ways to take the subway. Do you think that's realistic for students with disabilities to get to their schools, which is a big part of the subway? Because I know you like the subway, but do you think it's really reasonable?
That is like the dumbest idea I've ever heard. You're going to take a child with disabilities. You're going to give them an Omni card. People who go to work every day, who don't have any handicaps whatsoever, are afraid to take the subway. Now you're going to force children, some of them with severe disabilities, I've been on some of those buses, and you're going to tell their guardian or parent, or maybe older brother or sister, here, we're giving you an Omni card. Take the number 4 train to Mothers Express to their school. No. That is absolutely the dumbest idea that I've ever heard. As a mayor, you immediately prioritize this. Eric Adams should stop taking his newfound friend Andrew Cuomo, that he called a snake and a liar, around in his arms and bringing him to the SATMAR, bringing him to other groups and encouraging them to endorse Cuomo. He needs to do the job of being mayor. I understand he's one and done, but he's still the mayor. And if he personally gets involved, I think you'll see this result.
So I'm coming from France. Thank you. People all over the world are watching this election. In the radicalization of the democracy, at one point, will you give up to allow Cuomo to have some of your votes, which is happening in some elections in France, when you have far left and far right competing?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm not far right.
Just asking
If anything, there are people on the right who are not at all happy with me. I'm the only candidate who's right down the middle.
But will you give up to,
No,
at one point?
no, please. I respect the French. I've been to France. I see their judicial system. There are things we can learn from them. Their political system. But then again, if I'm incorrect, you had a prime minister who just resigned, and Macron brought him back. That gives me vertigo. So France has its way of doing things. Other countries, they have a parliamentarian procedure. Ours is one person, one vote, and I believe we let the people determine. This game of dropout, I've never heard of this before, to be honest with you, especially from a mainstream party that I represent, the Republican Party. In the history of American politics, generally it's independent candidates who drop out. Never heard a mainstream candidate say, oh, in this case, the Republicans dropping out, let the Democrats finish the job of destroying the city. Because I don't view any difference between Andrew Cuomo and Zohra Mamdani.
You have a lot of media hits on your schedule today. How exactly are you going to find the time to talk to voters on the subway? And when was the last time you were told the subway was a target?
I have a lot of, say that one more time. Yeah.
On your schedule today. So
No, you
are
stop and go. You leave the subway, you come back. You leave the subway, you come back. I have not patrolled with the Guardian Angels since I announced that I was running for the mayoral team back in, I think it was middle of February.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that you should drop out, but you've proven in 2021 that you have some good coattails. I think you have a lot more enthusiasm than Joe Lota did, for example. Obviously, there are a lot of flips back in 2021, less attention on this election. So what down ballot races are you looking at that you think you might empower just being on the ballot?
Well, that's an excellent question because I am at the top of the ballot for all Republicans running. So if suddenly I had a drug-induced psychosis and decided to drop out, I'm hurting everybody who's running. Public advocate, controller, borough president, especially city council. We have some really important city council races where if I dropped out, it might mean that people will not vote for them because they're not going to play bingo. First of all, they got to go in there, they got to find Andrew Cuomo on this ballot. It's very confusing, it's like a maze. And then all of a sudden you think they're going to go back to the Republican column and finish it. And then also I'm the only candidate against the city of Yes. So when you flip over the ballot, I'm constantly campaigning and saying vote no, on all the initiatives and referendums. Cuomo's in the back pocket of the developers. He said vote yes, and Zohra and Mamdani, depending on the day, and his word salad of the day. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, yes, no, but we know he's in favor of the city of yes. I'm the only one from day one who's not only said I'm opposed to the city of yes, and I campaigned as I was last night to Bronx homeowners till late at night, but also I'm a plaintiff in the case in Staten Island to repeal it. So I don't just say it, I don't just promote it, I'm actually involved in the case. And when I'm mayor, we shut it down, we slow it all down. The city of yes, that is Eric Adams' last present to his developer friends who wine dined a pocket line. It's Eric Adams gone wild, and it's city of yes on steroids, these initiatives and referendums. And by the way, people have said, how are you going to work with a predominantly Democratic city council? Well, guess what? The city council made of Democrats agrees with me. Vote no on the city of yes. No, I didn't quite hear you.
I said, we assume you're not going to have any
Right. Well, let me just address that. There's only one way that I would not be relevant, is if when I go topside intermittently, today I get hit by a Mack truck and I'm in ICU with ER. And people will still vote for me because guess what? I'm still on the Republican line. And by the way, if somehow I would decide, oh, let me have a press conference with Andrew Cuomo who destroyed the state, and all of a sudden I'm going to let him destroy the city. You know, most of the people who are loyal to me, and they've been loyal for a long time, they're just not going to vote. So this whole concept that if you drop out, people are going to vote for you. If you believe in the polls, look at the Emerson poll. Oh, all of a sudden Curtis is surging. Now, which poll are you going to believe? The one you want to believe, that promotes Cuomo, or the one that says Sliwa is actually surging? I don't believe any of the polls. I believe the people because I'm in the streets, I'm in the subways, and I'm on the express buses, I'm on the regular buses. That's how you get a feel. Trust me, I'm the most visible person out there. You can spot me a mile away with that red beret. If there was this tsunami of people yelling at me, drop out, it just ain't happening. It ain't happening. Any other questions?
One last one. I'm curious with the councilwoman switching sides and Lawler, for example, do you see endorsing them for re-election or for higher office in the future, or do you feel like you've moved on from supporting those people who have switched over from you?
No, I'm not like Andrew Cuomo. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. The prince of the blood feud and vendetta. They're free to do whatever they want. That's part of a democracy. I got to tell you, they're not responsible for getting people to the ballot box and voting. You have to have a get out the vote effort, and it had to have started 3 months ago. Zohrans did. I run into the Zohranistas all the time out there. Our people are out there. They've been out there for 3 months, knocking on doors, door hangers, lit drops, phone calls, emails, snail mail, and then of course text and follow up. Almost just starting that now. I got to tell you, he did that 3 days before the end of the primary with the unions. And what did he get him? Focus. You have to have a get out the vote effort at least minimally 3 months before the final day of election. And for some reason, Andrew Cuomo is considered this, this lifetime political apparatchik, which he was to his daddy starting at 19, does not seem to grasp the fundamentals of basic retail politics. A, get your butt out into the streets and press flesh, and yeah, people are going to scream invectives at you. That's part of the political process. Zohra has gotten it. The one time he went on the train, what happened? He said, yeah, it's Zohra, F you, Nazi. This is New York. He seems to want to be immunized from that. And number two, it's incredible that his get out the vote efforts are so late in the process of a campaign, especially with early voting already having started. On Saturday, I was the first to cast my vote at the Museum of Natural History, where Nancy and I are registered on the Upper West Side. It's a nice flow of people. And again, I think today, with 5 days left and clement weather today, I just want to encourage as many people to vote as possible, even if you're voting for my adversary. This is a tremendous, tremendous positive signal for democracy and people power. They're actually going to the polls to vote, because precipitously, voting totals have been plummeting every 4 years in mayoral election. I hope we can get it up to where Rudy and David Dinkins were in '89, when Rudy lost, 60% of eligible voters voted, and when Rudy won, 57% of eligible voters. That would be a nice parting compliment to New York City residents, to say they didn't just watch, they didn't just complain or support, they actually scraped the barnacles off their backside, got their rear in gear, and went to vote. Years ago, when Rudy ran against Dinkins, it was no early voting. One day, and absentee ballots. Now, we have this extended voting period that makes it relatively easy for everybody to cast their vote. And they should, even if it's not for me.
You need support from Democrats in order to win. What's your message to them in the final days of the election?
It's a good question.
Well, I do have Democrats. Bob Holden, who is the senior Democrat in City Council, leads Democrats for Sliwa. So there are a lot of blue-collar, working-class Democrats who are not enamored, obviously, with Zohra Mamdani, and not enamored with Andrew Cuomo, especially if they're civil servants, Tier 6, 50A. I can go through all the arguments that union men and union women have against Governor Cuomo that he imposed on them when he was governor. They don't forget, because they see it in their paycheck. So I think they're going to see a sprinkling of moderate Democrats, but again, everybody is ignoring the independent line that my wife Nancy went out and got the signatures for with others to qualify. It's the first independent line. You can't even find Andrew Cuomo in the maze. First independent line you're going to see is protect animals. Animal shelters will be no kill in New York City, and animal abusers will go to jail. But boy, that resonates with a lot of people, and there are some people who are single issue voters. First time this has ever been tried. Obviously, I have a long history with the animal welfare community, my wife much longer. And we'll see if it resonates to getting people to actually cast for me on an independent line. A lot of people will never vote for me as a Republican. One thing that is common, everybody loves Curtis. It's like everybody loves Reagan. They say, oh, we love you, Curtis, but you're a Republican. I can't vote for a Republican. Okay, so now you have an alternate choice. If, because of the way you were brought up, you were taught never to vote for a Republican, vote for me on the independent line, protect animals. And we'll see if Nancy's hard work and all the animal welfare folks' hard work pays off in the end by people deciding, okay, I can't vote for him as a Republican, but I'll vote for him on the protect the animals. Thank you.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Down into the subways, a lot better than out in the streets. I tried that this morning. It didn't work.
Guys, if you want me to walk with Curtis, we'll walk with Curtis a little bit. Please do subscribe for more on-the-ground coverage of the New York City mayoral race. This is kind of what it's like. It's like a press conference like out the subway. We got a reporter came all the way from France to cover this race. Pretty cool.
Yeah, we're totally opposed to Zohra Mamdani. And then again, here in New York City, the socialists have been organizing for many years within the Democratic Party. They work hard. You see them in the street. So although I disagree with everything they stand for, they are aggressively pursuing taking over the Democratic Party and winning the vote. Moderate Democrats who control their party for years are asleep at the wheel. And so they have only themselves to blame. And blame the Republicans because we offer a totally alternative point of view.
What do you want to do from here?
What's your
Well, in New York, you should restore the law and order because we're in the midst of a crime crisis. The one thing I've urged my colleagues, and they hit the third rail on
Israeli TV yesterday?
people in France because I've been there many times. And in the beginning,
You speak French?
No, I don't, but I live in the outer suburbs of Paris, so I see the problem.
So you're so what we call the inner cities.
Exactly. But in the beginning of the campaign, Republicans in other parts of the country were attacking Zohra's religion and culture. That was not right. Because all it did was galvanize Muslims. Many of them are very conservative. They do not share the political point of view of Zohra Mamdani, who is on the far left. They are very conservative. But the attack on his religion, his Muslim religion, and his culture caused a lot of Muslims that I know, and they were all attorneys, to say, no, they're attacking us, they're attacking our religion, they're attacking our culture. And it galvanized support. There are 1 million Muslims in New York City who can vote. They're all different types of Muslims, from all different countries. But New York City residents don't recognize that because they're like a silent minority. They've never really been involved in politics. By attacking Zohran's religion, his Muslim faith, and his culture, it's generated anger. Coffee wagons, Uber drivers, grocery store owners who are Muslim, they say to me, from Yemen, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh. So they're not, Yemen, yeah, Arabic, but the others are not. What are your people doing, Curtis? You're Republicans. I said, I understand, not me. I work with you all the time. But they launched attacks on his religion and culture, and they started to vote for the first time in large numbers. And you can see that both at the polls and both in terms of their neighborhoods where they live. You look, wow, there's a lot of people voting in that neighborhood. Yeah, because it's predominantly Muslim, and they're upset at the attack against their religion and culture. But they disagree with Zohra Mamdani on almost every political and cultural issue. But they're protecting their own. Look, in New York City, everything is religious, ethnic, racial. That's the politics in New York City. So Republicans around the country did this election a disservice by attacking his religion and his culture.
People in France are quite worried with the success of Mandela if it's happening. Will you drop out? Because you know that in the French politics sometimes when there are municipal elections, some candidates drop out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been there when they have a 10-course meal and they discuss this for 4 or 5 hours in Paris. Our system a little different. When you're a mainstream candidate like I am, Republican Party, mainstream candidates don't drop out, especially for the opposition. Cuomo and Zohra Mamdani share the same values. They're Democrats.
Will you walk with Mandela?
Excuse me?
Will you walk with Mandela?
No, I'll be his worst nightmare. I will be a mayor in exile. I will not flee. But Andrew Cuomo has already told his billionaire friends, oh, it's Zohra Mamdani wins, I'm fleeing to Florida. Good. Go to Florida, Andrew Cuomo. I stay, I fight, I improve, I don't move.
Last question, you have been open to France. What do you think of France? What's happening at this moment? Because we have a massive political crisis.
Well, actually, people, they want stability. I like a lot of political debate and discourse. It stimulates the voters. I've been to France when it's an election cycle. Everybody talks politics. Not many people talk politics in America and New York. The people in France know more about their political parties than we do, and that's really unfortunate. We need to take a lesson not just from France, but from Israel and other countries I've been to where people are engaged with politics. And you have multiple party systems. Here, you have to ask an average person, they're not necessarily aware as well as they should.
You're saying often that politics is a dirty business.
Excuse me?
You're saying often, you're saying often that politics is a really dirty business.
Oh, it's the dirtiest business that exists. The only difference between politics and organized crime people have tried to kill me, is that there are no dead bodies. But they can have a meal with you at night, your friends, the next day they have a press conference stabbing you in the back. All right.
What will you explain to the French people about Donald Trump?
Oh, look, a lot of people in France that I know, some love Donald Trump, others don't. It's like here in the country, but he's the most powerful person in the world. You have to have him as your friend. Macron has been very adept at walking both sides of the aisle with Donald Trump. I am amazed at how he is able to do that.
Thank you, sir. I
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
All right, we subscribe, guys. Curtis headed in the subway, put his money where his mouth is. And I think this is where we depart. Good luck. No worries. Slapping fannies. All right, guys, please do subscribe. I'm gonna sign off relatively soon. So that's some pure on-the-ground coverage of the New York City mayoral race. You know, I was able to ask some questions. I think Curtis has got some good coattails, so regardless of whether he wins or loses, there's an argument, a strong argument for staying in the race, in my opinion. The mainstream media says Curtis has been diminishing in polls, but two recent polls, Coefficient and Quinnipiac, had Curtis at about 20% before he was at 13%. So I reiterate, as I reiterated in the last stream, that he's the only one seeing some upward momentum. So we'll look at some of the chat. JY says Obama is gay. Okay, there's a great Tucker Carlson thing about that. Check it out. I really believed it. Finn says Mamdani, any other vote is for Trump. Disagree with that, but okay. Respect. Yeah, we'll be covering Mamdani event today as well. Probably very soon, in about 2 hours, an hour and a half. If it's not too far away, it's somewhere in Brooklyn. If it's like way East Brooklyn, I'm not gonna go out. But if it's like not that far, Brooklyn, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, you know, Curtis is running strong. He has a unique amount of enthusiasm that the normal GOP candidate has never had. And that's a testament to Curtis's personality and strength and familiarity. You know, usually people don't give a shit about the GOP candidate no matter what. Curtis has gotten more press than any other GOP candidate since a GOP candidate actually won. He's gotten more press than Joe Lota, who ran in 2017 by a mile. He's getting way more press than Nicole Malotanakis, who ran in 2017, then Lota ran in 13. And usually people really don't care, but people really admire this guy. I think he's going to end up doing a lot better than we think. So that's the deal. Kid Freshy. Hey, Kid Freshy. Love Sliwa. Respect for staying in the race, calling out Islamophobia, hate corruption. Yeah, I admire the guys, you know, with Cuomo, the Islamophobia bit. Zohra maybe reacted, you know, playing victim a little dramatically, but, you know, there was Cuomo laughed when a radio host said, thank God Zohra wasn't mayor during 9/11. It was a little Islamophobic. I admire Curtis for, again, not being very ideological and letting the party lines define what he says, but he said it was Islamophobic, and he defended Zohra on that and called out the bullshit. So, you know, you can't predict what he's going to say. The only thing you can predict is it's going to be honest and straight down the line. And I'm so tired of politicians, Zohra is like that too, who just use a playbook of how they're going to respond. One goal, Islam to take over. I would doubt that, but maybe. Maybe. They have great jackets, I'll say that. Great halal. Halal, halal. All right, what else are we looking at? New Yorker is represented from roaches and rat in some human form. I think you're talking about Cuomo, Pathways of Hope, probably. I read the Obama is gay quote. I just read it twice. Slapping fannies, killing grannies. Forgot to get Curtis to say that next time. He will save your money for yourself. Mamdani is a Ugandan citizen, says Michelle the Great. Okay. Fred Santana says, vote for this guardian angel. He will save your city on that. You can count on that. Fuck all these socials that are on this platform. These pussies want deceased in America to fail. Okay. Well, yeah, vote Curtis. He's a cool guy. Anything else? Please do subscribe, guys. Make me happy. Make this entire trip worth it. I have to get up early in the morning. I ain't got no job, so it's not normal for me. Sheila says, much love. Thank you, thank you. I love Cuomo and Sliwa fighting to lose, says the way of home. That's kind of what it is, eh? I think Sliwa might end up in second place. That's just my feeling. But say subscribe to me. I'll be with him for most of the day on election day. I'll be there for you when Cuomo kills your mom. I'll be there for you when Cuomo touches your butt. Let's see what else we got. Here he goes again about Cuomo. Yeah, well, he's running against Cuomo, so that would make sense. I'll be there for you if you're a state trooper. Cuomo. What else are we looking at? Jeds of Leon. Like your comments. Manuel says hello, New York. Hello, Manuel. People say Mamdani will bankrupt New York City. I don't think he'll bankrupt, but has some extreme economic positions. All right, guys, I'll leave some viewers, so I'm going to sign off. Love you all. Please do subscribe for more on-the-ground coverage until actual election.